Being the child of a celebrity is a lot, and Elijah Blue Allman is the son of not one, but two superstars. To date, his life has been challenging, and his future continues to look uncertain. In his memoir, My Cross to Bear, the late Southern rock icon Gregg Allman described his first date with Cher, writing, "That was possibly the worst date in the history of mankind." The pair were in for a wild ride. Between Allman's drug use, their spur-of-the-moment 1975 Vegas wedding, and Cher filing for divorce before the ink was dry, the troubled twosome kept the tabloid machine fed. And somewhere in the chaos, Elijah Blue Allman was born.
I do not belong in Beverly Hills. And she wasn't going to come down south.
It was 1976, and the new baby brought Gregg and Cher back together for a second. In fact, the new family of three was featured in People looking as wholesome as the Brady Bunch. In the article, Cher claimed that her husband had gotten sober and that she thought they were really going to make it as a couple. She was wrong. Gregg went back to his hard partying ways. On the Howard Stern show, Cher's older son, Chaz Bono, recalled, "He picked me up from school once and got lost on the way home. They drove around from 3 until 11 p.m., and Gregg stopped at a bar along the way." Cher told Parade, "I stayed with him until I knew I couldn't, because I didn't want the kids to be around it."
All right, you want to get up there? Do you need me to help you?
Suddenly, Cher was a single parent to 2 kids, along with a demanding career. In what one can only assume was an attempt to provide some stability for her younger son, Cher sent Allman off to boarding school when he was just 7 years old. It wasn't great for Allman, who told Entertainment Tonight, "When you go to boarding school at 7 years old, it's kind of hard to feel like you're not being shunned. But I'm at an age where I'm making peace with it because you just have to. It doesn't mean it's right. It's still wrong to do that." Allman bounced from school to school, even landing at a military school for a year in response to his shenanigans. But as hard as that time was, Allman credits boarding school for giving him some perspective on the superficial nature of celebrity life and all its superficiality. As he told the Daily Mail in 2014, "Superstars are a difficult and unique breed." By age 11, instead of playing video games or going outside, Allman was out scoring drugs. During school breaks spent with his family in New York, he roamed the streets of Harlem, buying marijuana and ecstasy. It sounds terribly young, but Allman told Entertainment Tonight, "It seemed normal at the time."
It's just what you did. It's just what everybody did.
Eventually, Allman followed in his musical parents' footsteps. After high school, he formed a band called Dead Sea. The group was never a major success, maybe because Allman was, by then, following in his dad's footsteps in other ways. Speaking to the Daily Mail, he admitted, "I was taking lots of drugs on the road. I was smoking heroin, taking a lot of pills, any painkiller we could get, and drinking." Allman claims that he used drugs as a way to avoid feelings of shame and depression, even telling ET, "Heroin kind of saved me. If I didn't have that at that point, I don't know what I would have done. You may jump off a bridge." In one of the more bizarre episodes in Allman's life, the musician turned artist contracted a case of Lyme disease so severe it nearly killed him. He thinks he contracted the disease during a 2005 trip to India, but the condition went undiagnosed for years, even after multiple tests. As Allman continued to deteriorate, he turned to natural remedies, one of which landed him in the ICU. As he told the Daily Mail, "I felt probably the closest to death I've ever been. It's like my life force was just being drained out of the bottom of my feet." By 2010, Allman, still suffering, checked himself into an alternative medicine facility in Germany run by Dr. Ursula Jakob. For months, he underwent expensive and ultimately unsuccessful treatments to try and restore his health, but his mother was nowhere to be seen.
You absolutely need unconditional parental love in those dark hours. That was lacking from that direction.
To make things worse, Cher thought he was making the whole thing up.
I think the kind of going notion for a lot of years was that it was imaginary, because that's just easier.
Eventually, Allman got better with the help of another alternative doctor. Cher might make the VIP list most places, but she didn't make the cut at son Allman's wedding to Marie Angela Queenie King, lead vocalist for the rock band King. The couple met on a blind date in Cologne, Germany, and got engaged, but Cher didn't acknowledge the engagement. Allman explained, "I wasn't going to wait for anyone's approval and congratulations, just like I've never waited for any of that my whole life." The self-described black sheep of his family, Allman and his fiancée had been staying with Cher since their return to the States. But as things got more tense, they moved into a home of their own. In 2013, they got married there, surrounded by their closest friends. The incident deepened the rift between mother and son that has raged off and on for years. According to Allman, it's like a Mexican standoff, but we have a history of not talking. For her part, Cher once told Robin McGraw on Dr. Phil that being a mother didn't always mix well with her career. To her credit, she admitted to some regret over not providing her kids with a more stable upbringing. If only she could turn back time. Allman may have grown up without his dad, but there was no shortage of men around thanks to Cher's highly publicized dating life. Movie stars like Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, along with rockers Richie Sambora and Gene Simmons, were just a few of the famous faces that drifted in and out of Allman's childhood. While Cher may have regrets about at least a few of them, Allman was grateful.
I was lucky to have them in my life because my dad wasn't around. So I really kind of looked to them.
He went on to add, Richie and I would sit up all night playing guitar. He would play me some really pivotal things that shaped who I became as a musician. Allman and his dad reconnected in 2014, making the effort to finally get to know one another. Speaking about their relationship, he shared, "It's not that it's been bad, it's just been very absentee. I've forgiven him for that. I've seen my dad a lot more in the last year than I have in a long time. It's important to mend fences now." It wasn't a moment too soon. Gregg died from liver cancer just 3 years later. He may have been too young to remember it, but Allman's marriage closely mirrored that of his parents, from the drug use to the on-again, off-again petitions for divorce. At first, they seemed happy, but the honeymoon phase didn't last. By 2020, the couple had separated, and Allman filed for divorce the following year. But like his parents before him, Allman decided to give it another go, and he and King reunited in 2022 to try and resolve their issues. That attempt was foiled by yet another strange story involving Allman being whisked away in an alleged kidnapping incident staged by his mother. King filed for a continuance for their divorce trial, asking for the date to be moved until things were sorted out. But after Cher filed a petition for a conservatorship of her son, Allman filed to dismiss the divorce. Whether that's a coincidence or a calculated move remains to be seen, but a spokesperson for King claimed to USA Today the couple have been working on their marriage and have reconciled. Over the years, Cher has been described as everything from outspoken diva to icon, but an accessory to kidnapping, that's a new one. In a plot that sounds straight out of a Hollywood script, Cher was accused of hiring men to kidnap her son in November 2022. Divorce papers filed by Allman's wife alleged that he was dragged from his New York hotel room by 4 men, one of whom claimed they were hired by Cher. In the court documents, King accused the singer of staging the whole thing in order to stop the couple's efforts to make their marriage work by claiming she was concerned for her son's well-being.
I said, Elijah, I've been the most supportive one in all kinds of ways.
It's no secret that King and her mother-in-law weren't the best of friends, but to accuse Allman's mother of going to such lengths to keep them apart seems a little extreme, especially to Cher, who denied the entire thing. In a simple but eloquent statement, she told people, "That rumor is not true." But while she denied the kidnapping fiasco, she did express her concern for Allman and his substance misuse, saying, "I'm a mother. This is my job, one way or another, to try to help my children. You do anything for your children." Many of Hollywood's most famous names have found themselves at the Chateau Marmont on Sunset Boulevard. It's a place known for housing actors who have something to hide, or who are looking for something to have to hide. It's where John Belushi overdosed in a bungalow, Jim Morrison partied, and Scandal has always found a happy home. And for several months in 2023, while he was estranged from his wife, it was the place Allman called home. A hotel staff member told the Daily Mail, "Virtually every morning and afternoon, Elijah could be seen in front of the hotel on the sidewalk, either leaning against the wall or sitting on the sidewalk smoking. He would come out with a full cigarette, and by the time he had finished it, he would be passed out. It always looked like it was dipped in something. He looked strung out and messy, like he was a homeless person living on the streets." The staff shared their concerns with Allman's mother, who had hired a caretaker, albeit unsuccessfully, to keep an eye on her son. In September 2023, hotel staff found Allman unconscious in front of the property. Not long after, he was removed from the Landmark Hotel by police and checked back into rehab. In an effort to protect her youngest son, who was clearly struggling, Cher filed for conservatorship by the end of the year. If the word conservatorship gives you Britney Spears flashbacks, you aren't alone. But in Allman's case, Cher's attorney called the action a life and death proposition. It sounds extreme, but there was sound reasoning behind her statement. Allman receives a sizable income from a trust established by his late father. Court documents obtained by people regarding Cher's request read, "Elijah is entitled to regular distributions from the trust, but given his ongoing mental health and substance abuse issues, Cher is concerned that any funds distributed to Elijah will be immediately spent on drugs, leaving Elijah with no assets to provide for himself and putting Elijah's life at risk." Allman submitted his own filing in response, in which he claimed to be on the road to recovery. Court documents stated that, at the time, he attended AA meetings and had stayed sober for going on 3 months. The 2024 filing went on to read, "While I understand that my mother, the proposed conservator, believes she is looking out for my best interests, and I appreciate her love and support, I do not need her unsolicited help or support at this time." Although her first attempt at a temporary conservatorship for her son was denied, Cher tried again, this time citing more than just his substance abuse issues. Her attorney told the court, "There is a secondary issue in that he suffers from schizoaffective disorder that leads to periods of psychosis." This proceeding was filed because Cher was told unequivocally by the doctors treating him that if she did not take this step as his mother, the concern was that he would once again end up on the street. The judge once again denied Cher's request, saying, "I don't question the motivation behind Cher's request as having been driven by concern for her son." The judge ruled that there was lack of sufficient evidence to support a conservatorship, given that Allman seemed to be functioning well independently and had submitted several negative drug tests. Allman agreed in his submitted objection to his mother's request, stating, "I am and have been capable of managing my own financial resources and resisting fraud and undue influence. I do not need a conservatorship." In light of the judge's decision, both mother and son agreed to call a halt to any future legal proceedings and take a stab at a private mediation to resolve matters on their own. He may have fired the first shot back in 2021 when he filed to divorce King, but Allman found himself on the receiving end of divorce papers in 2025. In what she described to people as the hardest decision of her life, King cited irreconcilable differences in a marriage that had seen more than its fair share of ups and downs. She said, "We had love, but we also had pain. My cage has never been so rattled before, and I never thought that I could lose myself, and I did. I didn't know who I was." King and Allman had met on a blind date and, despite their significant age difference, bonded over shared experiences. King recalled, "We found a simpatico, and I had never met anyone who could relate to my story, and I don't think he has ever met anyone who could relate to his story." They made it through his years of mental illness, substance abuse, family conflict, and more, until King finally reached her breaking point, sharing, "It's not what I want. The day I filed for divorce, there was no other option." King, who said she still thinks of Allman as her husband, is shifting her focus to healing and focusing on her own music. She credits her family, friends, and her faith in God for helping her through, admitting, "I do feel peace that I haven't felt before. It's priceless." Her peace may be priceless, but King's divorce from Allman came at a pretty high cost, at least for him. Allman could stand to lose his inheritance in the divorce. He was reportedly ordered to pay $6,500 in monthly spousal support to King, along with $10,000 for her legal fees. But in court documents, King stated, "I have not received any payments from Elijah. To my knowledge, he is staying at an expensive hotel and ignoring his obligations." As the wife of a man who descended from music royalty, King enjoyed all the benefits of an A-list lifestyle. She has claimed that in order to maintain the standard of living to which she's grown accustomed, she requires a monthly payment of $12,000 just to sustain herself. In a financial declaration filed with the court, she said, "I need support to pay rent and cover my basic needs, and money to seek further education and employment in order to become self-supporting." In her divorce filing, King pointed out that Allman's mother helped to fund their lifestyle and that her ex had, quote, "major contributions coming to him from family and his mother." But with an estimated $3,500 in monthly entertainment and dining out expenses, on top of $5,000 for rent and an additional $1,500 in grocery costs, it's easy to see how King's basic needs could quickly drain those contributions. In June 2025, just when it seemed like Allman was getting his life together, he was rushed to a California hospital after a drug overdose. It happened not long after Allman and his mother agreed to mediation regarding her request for a temporary conservatorship. Details of the supposed overdose were unclear, but a report by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department stated that they were called to a residence for a man acting erratically. Witnesses told the U.S. Sun that Allman was standing outside while behaving zombie-like in 104-degree heat. He was also badly sunburned. Footage obtained by the publication showed a very disheveled Allman carrying what appeared to be drugs wrapped in aluminum foil into an Airbnb that was owned by Katie Edwards, ex-girlfriend of Matthew Perry. Additional photos inside showed what appeared to be heroin and fentanyl. Allman had been open about his problems with drugs in the past, including his addiction to heroin. He's also acknowledged that he'd come close to overdosing more than once, telling ET in 2014, "I did have some close calls and some moments of really feeling at the edge of mortality. I always kind of kept it a little bit safe, but you never can do that. The wrong combination of things can happen, and you can just slip into the abyss." It's no mystery why so many people are concerned about Allman. After his release from the hospital, he was once again spotted behaving erratically, this time outside the Chateau Marmont. In August 2025, Allman was spotted wearing a Chateau Marmont t-shirt while using a walking cane in front of the hotel. He was sipping on a Starbucks beverage and smoking a cigarette while speaking on the phone. Photos taken in June, before his overdose and hospitalization, showed him stumbling out of the same hotel with a vacant expression, disheveled clothing, and visible leg sores. Cher hasn't commented publicly on the photos, but King told People that she still supports Allman and wishes him the best, sharing, "Like many, he continues to confront his inner struggles, but it is important to recognize that he does so from a place of strength, not defeat. I want to state without hesitation that I will always root for him." It's unclear what Elijah Blue Allman's future holds, but sources have told TMZ that Cher's main priority is doing whatever she can to support his health. It wasn't known why Elijah Blue Allman was at St. Paul's School in Concord, New Hampshire, but on the evening of February 27, 2026, Allman was arrested there after allegedly causing a disturbance and assaulting multiple people at the school. According to reports, Allman had entered the private $72,000 a year high school's dining hall with a lit cigarette, and when concerned students and faculty began following him, he jabbed at them with a cane, an accessory he's carried around for decades. Because of the school's busy evening activities involving parents and faculty, including an ice hockey game and musical performances, Allman's presence on campus didn't seem suspicious until he began acting erratically. Allman has no known affiliation with the school, but allegedly presented himself as someone interested in sending their child to the school. He was ultimately charged with 2 counts of simple assault, criminal threatening, criminal trespassing, and disorderly conduct before being released on bail.